Folks, what do you say about today's guest? He's an actor. He's an accomplished writer. He's an audiovisual media virtuoso for Fox for a long time. Make It Happen guy. He's got a great podcast as well. Saturday Night Movie Sleepovers. You can see him on Facebook and Twitter and much more. I can't wait for you to meet Dion Baia. How you doing, Dion?
Good. How about yourself? How's everything today?
I'm doing great, man. Recently, you were in John Schneider's movie. I think you've been in a couple of them, actually. But A Poker Run is his latest. And we, of course, interviewed John a couple of times recently. But Dion, I would almost want to add to your roster comedian. You're very funny as well.
Oh, well, thank you. I always can say it's not hard to make myself look like an idiot. You know, I can do that very easy. Been doing that since I was in my elementary school days. So yeah.
Wow. Well, you know, I know Fox is glad to have you. I mean, gosh, they are wise enough to utilize your comedy skills and, of course, your speaking skills, on camera skills too. I saw you reading off some mean tweets, so to speak, of the personalities there.
Yeah, Neil Cavuto, he had came down, he got COVID, and luckily he was okay. Yeah, but he had a lot of health issues leading up to that. So when he came back for his first time, he wanted to read all the viewer mail he got, and a lot of them were kind of condescending and sarcastic, and some were just darn right mean. So he had me read it to him, and we made it into a fun segment, like almost like a late night TV segment where I read him off to you the cards, and then he would react to them. So it was fun, and Fox is great, and Neil especially has been amazing to me over the years. He's really put me on camera. We've done segments and just funny stuff, and he's been really good to me. And yeah, Fox has been a blessing to me as well, working there.
Wonderful. Well, while it's debatable that people, they don't agree whether they should be mandated to vax or not.
Absolutely.
Still, there's never a reason to wish somebody dead or to be mean.
No, especially in this day and age. No, it's there's a lot of things going on in the world, and you just got to try to be nice, relaxed, and like I do. I keep a smile on my face and just try to stay safe.
Well, good. Well, Neil's not the only one who utilized your talent. Gutfield, he had you do I'm not sure what all you did for the skit. Obviously, the brainchild of that skit, the politically correct James Bond, so to speak. Tell us about that.
It was one of his Greg Gutfeld's, like I guess he plays it the most. It has become the one of his classics, and it's basically it was, what if James Bond became politically correct? So it was a little skit about Bond going through different adventures and reacting to them in a James Bond movie, but being politically correct. So at the beginning, I was a bad guy, a henchman he was running after, and he corners me, and instead of pulling out a gun to shoot me, he pulls a banana out and he goes, "Are you hungry?" And I'm like, and I'm befuddled by the whole thing. And then that's the hook into the little skit. And he's enjoyed that. And it's just him lampooning how ridiculous culture's gotten, how ridiculous Hollywood and stuff has gotten like that. So that was fun as well.
Well, I appreciated that because James Bond is big in my family, as you can imagine. And we talked a little bit before the show about that. James Bond has been a big figure among the Fricker men, and to see someone do a funny take on that. He even went to a coffee shop, and she said shaken not stirred, and he said no, soy latte. It was pretty.
Yeah, he had a whole thing, that lactose free, and and almond milk and all, just trying to hit all the bells and whistles, as opposed to just shaken not stirred and being cold and dry as Bond would be.
Well, as funny and creative as you are, you really are a good actor.
Thank you.
Well, think about it. Some actors, they have to drastically change their look to do different scenes or roles or stuff. But the things that I've been seeing you in lately, you don't have to do that. You're able to come across as a totally different person, whether it's funny, whether it's serious. You produce something with the hobo with a high kick. I love that, man.
That was something a couple friends of mine let me into. They'd written for a site, and guy's name is James Hancock, and he has a YouTube page and a Twitter site called Wrong Reel, where he reviews movies and stuff like that. And he had done a one of these pseudo fake trailers for a movie that never was, and the movie was called Hobo with a High Kick. And it was kind of like your basic, like your 80s or 70s grindhouse action movie about a guy who's wronged and has to go and get revenge. And I'm the bad guy and the heavy who the hobo is going through New York City. He's wandering through kind of like Rambo First Blood. And then we mess with him, and then he comes back for revenge and high kicks us all to death. And it's on YouTube. It's pretty funny, but I play the heavy in that, in the tracksuit. And I go after him. And, I got to play a bad guy, which is fabulous. And then, the end of it, it makes you like, oh, I want to go see this movie. When you're out, there was really no movie for it. It was just a fake trailer and people, react to that. There's a lot of these now that's been a thing for years now, where you make a fake trailer for a movie. And then sometimes that actually works, where you can get the movie made if it's the right vehicle. They do something like a fake scene, and that turns into, they get the funding. I think they did that maybe with Napoleon Dynamite or something. Right. So he did that, and I was lucky enough to be able to be a bad guy in it and have a real scratchy voice, and just sound like Tom Waits.
Well, again, you can't beat the red jumpsuit, red tracksuit.
Yeah, the Adidas, or as they call it in England, Adidas. Yes, it was fabulous. Good time.
Well, you know what? On a serious note, folks, anyone who is out there putting out good media, positive media, even family-oriented media, you get behind him. And I really want you to get behind Dion today. You can see his information at the bottom of the screen. Again, I'm reading the Instagram and Twitter, Facebook. He's also a serious writer too. I mean, on Amazon, these two newest books on Amazon, the Blood in the Streets and Morris P.I., The Men from Ice House 4. Tell us about your writing with the Blood in the Streets book.
Well, Blood in the Streets they were both, I went to film school, and my whole dream has been to become an actor and director and stuff. I got out of film school, and then I immediately got a job at Fox behind the camera, and that was my day job. But in the meantime, trying to pursue a career in cinema, I wrote a couple screenplays, and I just couldn't get them into the right hands or have anybody look at them. And I felt like I was so close to that level working at up being political connections, and I couldn't find anybody who liked fiction. So I got an idea from a great guy named John Gibson, who used to work there, who said, why don't you turn them into books? And then that way you can maybe get it easier to be made back into scripts, into a movie. So the first one I did, which was my first script, was called Blood in the Streets. And that was basically a 70s cop movie with Jim Morrison in it. And it takes place where I'm from, New Haven, Connecticut. And that's a gritty thriller, historical fiction. And Jim Morrison has a cameo in it. The title is a reference to the Doors song Peace Frog, Blood in the Streets in the town of New Haven. And it's, if you like Dirty Harry, French Connection, Bullet, Kojak, any of those 70s crime, nostalgic movies, gritty, New York City kind of a look or feel, but with a firm footprint in historically accurate, the template, the background of the story that's being presented, then I think people will dig that. And that came out in 2018, Blood in the Streets.
Wow. And then, of course, the Morris P.I. / The Men from Ice House 4. Tell us about that.
Yeah. That just came out in June, and that was my second go. That was the second screenplay I had written. It was basically like an Indiana Jones for the 21st century. It's about a private detective in Harlem at the end of World War II who uncovers this evil, nefarious Nazi plot to get their loot at the end of World War II from Europe to South America by way of New York. And he uncovers this, unbeknownst, it's this big yarn that unwinds, and then it becomes this whole crazy story. Much like it's my love letter to those movies we grew up watching, like, Dick Tracy or Chinatown or The Boys from Brazil, or stuff like Tim Burton's Batman, or as I said, The Rocketeer, or Indiana Jones. So, and that's another one that is very firmly grounded in historical fiction, because it's a hard-boiled whodunit with a crazy twist, and it has a lot of people who the villains in it were real people in real life. So I tried to have a firm foot in historically accurate, so that when the fantastical fictional elements come into play, you kind of believe it.
A lot of people are becoming more and more aware of Project Paperclip. Some.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so, when after World War II, where did the Nazis go? Well, only 18 people were tried at the Nuremberg trial. You had millions of Nazis. Where did they go? A lot of them went to Argentina. A lot of them went to America and Russia. And people don't realize that Werner von Braun was a Nazi who developed the rocket propulsion systems for the moon landings. If you believe that happened, many of us do, many of us don't. But all that to say is, what a great time to have a book out about this genre of the modern Indiana Jones fighting Nazis. When, hey, some things aren't necessarily conspiracy anymore. We actually absorbed a lot of those Nazis right after World War II, and your book can really appeal to the audience there who love history, but they also love adventure and fiction. You're a good success story, Dion. I mean, I started from behind the camera and directing television. Now I've got several TV shows, and there's something that happens when you have the camaraderie with other people. When you're a part of a team, whether you're stage directing or camera work or audio as well. You're an audio master, for Fox, but you meet a lot of personalities along the way. And then, later on, sure enough, you're doing your own thing now, and they know you and they utilize you and they support you. That's got to be a good feeling to have support from your friends at Fox and from other celebrities as well, like John Schneider. Did you meet John on set initially? How did you come in contact with John?
Well, that's a weird story because I was doing the Gutfeld show behind the camera, miking the people up. And then I became close with Tyrus, who's the wrestler turned political commentator and great personality, really, really nice guy. And him and I bonded backstage because in the green rooms, while I'd be miking people up, I usually try to chat with them. It's a little inside baseball, but you try to, get them comfortable with you and comfortable with me because I'm going under their shirt sometimes with a woman or whatever, put a microphone on or whatever else, whatever material. So you need to be able to understand what you're doing and they understand. So I'll casually chat. So with Tyrus, I said a really obscure Smokey and the Bandit reference. And he said, "Is that Smokey and the Bandit you just quoted?" And I said, "Yes, it is." So our shtick became, we would quote each other like Smokey and the Bandit or Kelly's Heroes or just really cult classic movies, primarily Smokey. And he met John, and John had offered him the role as the Jackie Gleason character in his homage, John Schneider's homage to Smokey and the Bandit, the 2020 movie Stand on It.
Yeah.
So when they were looking for someone to play Tyrus's dumb-witted son, who was played by Mike Henry in the first Smokey and the Bandit, the original movies. Tyrus said, "I know this guy. He's an actor. I'm really close with him. Me and him have a great rapport. We can improv. Why don't you give him a try?" And to John's credit, John Schneider, John took a chance and said, "Sure, okay, I'll check him out." And the rest is history. He put me in it, and then a lot of I mean, a lot of what we said in the movie was scripted, but a lot of also what Tyrus and I did was completely improv. Just us just messing around on set and doing silly stuff because I played his dim-witted son, Sonny, as opposed to Junior in the Smokey and the Bandit movie.
Yeah, just put the evidence in the car, son.
Exactly. Put the evidence in the back, and I can't. In this movie, so the Johns did a tribute, an homage, a pastiche to Smokey and the Bandit, and it's really for people. There's so many Easter eggs and hidden gems and Stand on It for people, references to Smokey and the Bandit and all that genre of Burt Reynolds 70s filmmaking. And Stand on It kind of almost goes scene for scene and beat for beat, almost to the original Smokey. So there's that scene where we lampoon as well. What you're saying is put the evidence in the car, but in this movie, I can't pick it up. The door is too heavy for me. I'm not Mike Henry or Tyrus. So I just pick up the interior, the plastic bit of the door, and I bring that in. And, so there's all these little references and, like I said, homages to Smokey and the Bandit. And it's almost this self-aware movie, Stand on It. And then that was then the sequel that we just had, Poker Run, which has come out now, which is kind of then lampooning or I should say a loving tribute to like Cannonball Run or what's Gator McCluskey, those movies, the Burt Reynolds movies, and a Mad World, that kind of fanfare for the sequel.
Well, like John, you do a lot of different things, with the writing and the sketches, of course, the acting, and then your hands-on technical audiovisual expertise. John is doing all kinds. He's doing racing now too, and as well.
The dirt track racing. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
But another example of different things you do, Dion, is your Saturday night movie sleepovers.
It's a mouthful. I have all these.
I love it though. I love it. Tell us about that. How did you get started doing that?
Me and one of my best friends from college, who was my roommate, who was also a film major. When we got out, we started a podcast. We got out of college a long time ago. And then about 10 years ago, we started a podcast called Saturday Night Movie Sleepovers. And it's a movie film podcast. But what it is we lovingly look back at the movies, we would all grow up watching at a sleepover. What you go over your friend's house to watch or whatever. Those movies that we loved watching growing up, we go rent from the video store. That era, that's kind of gone now, where you can't go to the video store with your friends on a Saturday night, grab something, on the way home, get a pizza and a Mega Jolt Cola or something like that. And your parents or whoever just sit you down in front of the TV room and you're up all night drinking caffeine, eating bad food and sweets and watching who knows what, horror movies, romantic comedies, action movies. So what Saturday Night Movie Sleepovers does is, there's a lot of cynicism and narcissism and sarcasticness in the world. And we tried to take a stance where there's a lot of these podcasts that just go back and make fun of all these movies. And that's the thing. They spoof it. And we said, you know what? We're not going to do that. We're going to look back and we're going to lovingly look at these movies. And our mantra kind of became that everybody's movies, every movie, somebody's favorite movie. So yeah, if this movie could stink or suck,
awesome.
That's one thing, but we're going to celebrate it for what it is. So we go behind we talk about our history of it. And we remember, I first saw this movie at a sleepover and this guy was over and this happened. And then, the two of us will go back and forth. Then we'll talk about the making of the movie and the facts about, this person was almost cast in the movie. So we try to give the movie a fair shake and talk about all the things and really attack it a different way than you traditionally see or hear, I guess I would say, when people talk about that. And that was our angle. And it became kind of long form. We would have 2 or 3 hour podcasts and we would ask people do you mind the length? And they started to really enjoy it because, we really sit down, digest, unpack the film and what we're talking about or the genre or the history of whatever the characters are. So people really began to enjoy our kind of particular format, which it's starting to crop up. I see in other places on Twitter or on the metaverse. That's a very long-winded answer to what you asked me.
Well, no, it's great. It's like a better version. Better than Mystery Science Theater, where you saw the silhouettes, with the gun machine and the guy, but there are always really bad movies, and the show was all the sarcastic things they say,
and that has its place. I mean, that's a classic. Mystery Science Theater is a classic movie, classic show, and they're always lampooning or I guess they're making fun of these older movies they're getting public domain movies they're able to show, but it seems for me, it's like in the past 20 years, certainly every show you watch has become a kind of cynical view of the world with a sarcastic quirk or reference to somebody where they'll take you aside and they'll say something to you. So, I don't think that's necessarily been doing the world very much good because it seems everywhere you look, it's there.
It's funny on the short term, but what you guys are doing, you're doing movies people love. You're doing the homework in the background behind them. Sounds like a fantastic podcast. I drive a lot of hours at times producing, and I can't wait to listen to your podcast, folks. It's called Saturday Night Movie Sleepovers. Man, talk about, I love history. I love movies. I love cinema. And you're doing the background work on it. And you're celebrating good movies instead of cynicizing bad movies. And once again, that's another example of positive media. You got a great voice, Dion. No wonder people love to hear your podcast as well.
Well, thank you.
Gosh, what do you not do, man? I mean, what's on the horizon? What's everything seems to be coming, it's always been together, but your books, your podcast, your acting, and of course, you continue to meet new people and facilitate Fox, which now is burying the competition in ratings, of course. What's on the horizon for Dion?
I guess doing more of the same and just trying to be, I guess, more successful at it, meaning that I get better at what I'm doing and trying to be able to have a better output, increase my productivity and do more what I love to do. And I guess work for myself as opposed to working for the quote unquote man, whatever that is, the bank or debt or your job, your 9-to-5 job, try to work for yourself and your family as opposed to more of just trying to get it done to survive in this crazy world we have nowadays.
Well, Dion, I don't think you're going to have a problem doing that. And folks, get behind good people that produce good media. Some people may say that we are where we are in this country because of bad media. But
absolutely, yeah.
When someone comes along and produces good media like Dion and puts good out into the world, you don't have to be a religious person to know that you reap what you sow. And Dion, you're putting out a lot of good things out there, from your podcast to your writing to your acting, and of course, facilitating, Fox News as well. I'm just really looking forward to seeing what's on the horizon for you. And in the meantime, I'm going to go to your podcast and I'm going to go to Amazon too. I can't wait to read your book, The Modern Day Indiana Jones story, and even though it's set right after World War II and the Nazis in America. Hey, folks, never been a better time to connect with people of the likes of Dion Baia. Get behind this guy. You're seeing his information at the bottom of the screen. And I don't know what age you are, Dion, but you're a sharp young man. You got a lot of years to go. Man, talk about a bright future, and you're already doing great things. You've already put in a lot of time at Fox. How long have you been at Fox so far?
I've been there. Next year, 2022 will be 20 years I've been there.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah. So I've been there for quite a while. It's one of those things. Right out of college, I looked out, got a job there, and they've been good to me. And it's, I've been able to excel and move up in the chain there, behind the camera, and then doing some stuff in front of the camera, some light, fun stuff, and just trying to make people laugh there, which is, hard to do when you're talking about such serious topics or whatever the atmosphere or the mood of the day or the story is of the day.
Well, you know what? Successful people make others successful. You've been helping facilitate successful broadcasts for over 20 years at Fox, and they have recognized that, and they've seen your stick-to-itness, and now they're giving you a stage, or even more so, and rightly so, because it's guys like you that make it happen. You're a make it happen guy. You're a mover and shaker, but you're also doing some fresh things. With the podcasts and all that, I think that the future of podcasts is only going to get bigger, and we may see radio in its own way. Podcast is radio in its own way. Making a comeback, but I have a feeling you're going to be right there on the leading edge. Such a pleasure to meet you, Dion.
Well, thank you, Brent. Thank you so very much. It's been an honor, and thank you for the opportunity. We had some technical difficulties before we got on air here, and that's why I'm sitting behind my couch here, because I was having poor internet service. But I would just thank you very much for all you can do, and thank you for your patience as well.
Hey, listen, man. Hey, we're in this together, and I'm just delighted to meet guys like you. Look forward to interviewing you again. A lot of people, you're going to see this interview on so many different platforms. You'll be able to check out Spotify.
Check out Poker Run as well, which is John's new movie, which is available at johnschneiderstudios.com and cineflixdod.com. I forgot, we're talking about everything else, and I forgot to even mention that, so I apologize.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. Folks, you've been seeing that at the bottom of the screen, how to connect with Dion. Get behind what he's doing. Now, can people support your podcast, Dion?
We used to do a tier level thing like that. We put that on pause right now because we've been focusing it was so much of a workload to do the podcast. We've tried to putting our efforts in, like the writing the books and stuff. So at the moment we've paused that, any kind of tier level support, which hopefully at one time we will bring back. But at the moment, no, we just do it, just for our own listening pleasure.
Well, folks, from books to podcasts to movies to segments on Fox and beyond, sharp man, positive media producer, and just putting out good things, and good things will come back to you, Dion. I want to thank you again for being with me today.
Thank you.
You too. And thank you for watching, folks. We'll see you next time.
They don't get to tell us how to feel now. With the blood on their hands, it's time to speak out. I ain't wanna criticize, name names, politicize tragedy or fan flames. I'm just trying to make a stand crystal clear. Put it all into perspective, I got no fears. Losing friends for the bars that I'm dropping. Channeling the cold truth and I ain't stopping. But it makes me damn sick to see our heroes backstabbed by a government of zeros. Deep pockets with the media lies, globalist ties, selling us sovereignty. Deep state hypocrisy, still blaming 45. 46 looking at his watch for the world to see. Well, the bodies came down of the 13 with draped coffins, old glory to their resting place. Stolen honor, but I know they didn't die in vain. Sisters and brothers, only colors were American. While we're programmed by division in the narrative, we trip on race, but we're facing the end times. When we stand before God, will we get right? Afghan mamas handing babies through the lines. 20 years gone, now they're left behind. Just counting up the casualties feels like an alternate reality. So here's to the fallen ones, they won't be coming home. Hope y'all know freedom ain't free. We're pinned up against the wall, we know they gave it all. Now you should know I stand for the fallen ones. Fallen ones. The fallen ones. Fallen ones. 2,000 vehicles, 40 aircraft, Black Hawk drones in the hands of the enemy. They got a list of the allies and the families, waiting for withdrawal to be a target of the cavalry. This ain't no transition, but a surrender to the savages. What a wage a culture war on minds, cause they don't align with the panic born in the groupthink mentality. Patriots, we out the grid, so they label us extreme for the vanity. They call us fake, but we awake to reality. They divide and conquer with the war profiteers and the global puppeteers. Keep you on the stream, let them feed you fear so you can't see clear. Don't care if you Republican or Democrat, it's all a matrix in the end and we should know that. They died for our freedom that we're losing, we're deluding. Sedated by the blue pill we're consuming. So say the names like they was your own kin, cause the sacrifice they gave, they went all in. And it's obvious and I can't stress enough, yours and mine opinions come with the cost of blood. Afghan mamas handing babies through the lines. 20 years gone, now they're left behind. Just counting up the casualties feels like an alternate reality. So here's to the fallen ones, they won't be coming home. Hope y'all know freedom ain't free. We're pinned up against the wall, we know they gave it all. Now you should know I stand for the fallen ones. Fallen ones.
Brandon. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you as well.